Well, let's see how this works. I've just received my official red box on the left at 7 seconds that implies that this stream will be shown on my analytics as Sophia's Emporium live. That doesn't mean that I need someone impersonating me to upload it for me on my cloned page. Any of you that know me know I'm Sophia's Emporium on YouTube. My legal name is Suze Pratt. My given name by birth is Susanna Bernadine Glasscock. Now, this morning, Katie Roby, aka Miss Wonderful, who is really Mel V that started the whole issue on my brand new computer that I used to live stream to y'all since 2016. See, this is where it's all really screwed up, isn't it? Because we're supposed to be safe online and we're supposed to be protected by these contracts we never sign that we're supposed to trust. Now, me even ever talking online, right, they're pissed. Somebody was in here and they're out running, and I'm supposed to really believe that nobody wants to hear what I have to say today. See, when you tell the whole world they're irrelevant, and then you drop underground, let's call them atomic strikes through alleged Tesla energy. That's not what Tesla made his little free energy about. But that is what CCN prostituted under Hope Girl's alias as a on-the-run con in Morocco, selling free device energy stuff to you guys. I guess it was for these nuclear strikes. What do I know? I know it's all true. And just because I can't explain it to you guys' satisfaction, well, even the computer geniuses couldn't really explain this because this has never happened. And now you have to go back to the fact that they blamed the young video gamers, oh, wow, starting in the late 70s, about why they couldn't tell the truth about the World Wide Web being compromised. Really? You pick on a bunch of kids that are now late 50s, early 60s. Most of us didn't survive it. I didn't want to be here. I knew the internet was the devil. And like I also know God is real, we're having some kind of an intervention during this war. See, World War II never ended. They tried to hide that. And then they tried to hide that you weren't supposed to know that America had been inverted. And the corporations took it over and sold it to somebody years ago. Hey, I'm surprised, but I'm not shocked. It's really weird how we take in so many bits of information into our brains per minute that when we discover it's going on, it does look like it's in the past. It really does, because there's so much, I would say, data that is all equaled to these little bits of shock. And it takes time for everybody to figure it out. Now, in the meantime, our alleged government has completely squallered and wasted the last 4 years since this last election. And so there's so many lies in the air. and so many people fighting, but they felt it necessary to reenact what you, if you have any grasp on history, would acknowledge as those above ground atomic tests that were done in the 50s. Now, I wasn't born in the 50s, so you see, technically and historically, I wasn't there. Duh. But if you recall, the very important top notch brass, along with top heads of government and military, were actually there. I don't know if you call it the desert, it was barren, and they were all out there with their special protective outfits, including glasses, because of course it's a bright blast, and they survive it. We also see footage from the kids being told to duck and cover, remember, and they'd all get under their desk. Now, today, that is still what's told to do during a tornado drill. And like you know, this big storm that is hitting the Alabama borderline there. What they're really talking about is all these tornadoes. And of course, they've named this storm Laura. So, thank you, Patricia. Welcome, Jimmy. Mr. Wrinkle's safety protection until present, man. Thank you. I appreciate that. The other dogs are fine too, but Mr. Wrinkles likes to be close to me in his old age, I guess. Anyhow, let's get back to the serious business. Kids still duck and cover, and adults still hide their eyes from the truth. And that's why I always wanted you to know that we've all been traumatized, and why the Bible speaks of the children of God's kingdom, not the children of God cult. See, everything's inverted in this game. But what you guys that follow me closely are aware of, no matter how hard it is that 23 days ago, I was struck with a DEW weapon, microwave technology, underground atomic warfare. It has to do with our plates that hold the earth together being fragmented enough through Oklahoma fracking in the 50s that they could divide the United States, sorry, or any other geographical location on the globe, and break them apart, kind of like the continents broke apart, formed back together after Atlantis. And, all this hassle that I've taken about it's somehow my fault, whether it's the election or the world or the racial wars or these sexist battles, this algorithm took effect. And I'm well aware of that now, and I do know that I broke the code a long time ago, and I do know that everything is being watched. But here again, 23 days since the Google Plus global mapping white dot, which is outside the front of the house, watched me die. A lot of people don't know what death is to begin with. So, the way it was put to me is like, let's say, when my silly ass fell and cracked my head this summer. You know, I was putting weeds in a trash can. Trash can's broke. I take my fucking big foot and I shove that trash down. And fuck, man, I went back. I saw myself going back. There was nothing I could do to stop it. When I hit the ground, my head had never cracked with a sound that I could hear in my ear so bad. The last time that I cracked my head was 1984. I was redecorating a hair shop that wasn't mine with red velvet wallpaper, which, you know, with the orange hair and doing the guy's hair and doing hair color just didn't work. It was like a psyop, you know. It's pretty messed up. But anyhow, I fell off a 6-foot ladder onto a concrete floor. And I was excited to vote for Reagan because I had never voted. And I knew they were all full of shit. And I was going to get involved in the political asshole process, let's say. Well, I didn't because my head hurt. But let's get back to current time. So, plus I was a little hungover in 1984. It's okay. But when I cracked my head outside this summer, and I survived, I was awake, coherent. Here's what my brain told me to do, is it told me to put my hands on the back of my head, not because I had done anything illegal, but because if I would have been bleeding out, I would have already had my hands there, and that would have allowed me to tell the difference between sweating in the summer and taking a major blow versus having blood running out of my head. So my hands are up. I'm not bleeding. And I know if I can get up, that I can hold on to my head and walk into the house. And from there, I took my famous ice packs that I survived these atomic blasts with too, and these attacks on YouTube. But I got the ice pack on, and as many of you know, any of us that are in that position should immediately take homeopathy. It doesn't have to be ferrum phosphate, which is for and first aid. You could take, I would say, one of 5 different cell salts, which are cellular nutrition, and alleviate the traumas that were happening to my body current time. Right now, everybody thinks that they have COVID weight when it's not bad at all. See, there's Rex. You're a good boy. So, anyhow, you're a good boy. Go on. Go get Books. Aren't you glad I don't have to hold you and then you can cry while they shove needles in you or pinch you or shove a flea up your ass? I don't have to beg my animals to hang out with me. I know we love you. And maybe Jimmy Touchdown remembers that this dog right here, Mr. Rex, he chose us this time last year, and he chose to come live here. Nobody had said he was missing. I mean, that's when we first found out about these stupid neighborhood groups that narc you out for things you don't do and got these fetishes with animals. It's the weirdest thing. But, you know, even though we couldn't afford to feed another mouth, We're not the kind of humans that would ever deny a child or an animal or an old person or somebody that I think is my friend at the time the kind of help that we could provide, which would never be financial. So everybody decides to not only impersonate me, bury me, and use weird aliases to refer to me. Well, it went to the point where, of course, my identity was stolen, my social security number, and these heifers took out welfare in my name, and I have never, ever, 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 never asked the government for a dime. I have been self-employed since 1985 doing business as the Hair Emporium. That's how a small businesswoman like me paid her taxes. And then truthfully, Tits, you know, the girl with the boobs, Lord have mercy, who also is involved with my daughter, the fraudster that fell in the middle child. You know, the escort from Instagram. Lauren. Ugh. It's a thankless job being a mom. It's a thankless job being a dad. It's a thankless job caring about people, isn't it? That doesn't mean I'm not going to do it. I don't get my thanks from this material, petty bullshit, fucking straw man, crap ass legal system. Otherwise, YouTube, Facebook, and every other social media slut would make you use your legal name. I have been begging. I don't see any other way to do business. You can't say, hi, my name is Reggie Delaney, and I own and operate the Hair Emporium through Bargain Beauty, and we're a bunch of whores that stole Suze Pratt's original website that I paid $3,000 for, and then the next thing you know, all the banks are hacked, and the fraud rooms are all cloned and mirrored, and you got a bunch of 25-year-old angry people working a phone room, no different than Dan Soap, aka Monograph, Fraternal Order of Police and Veterans Association. Ma'am, can I get your money today? Oh, geez. No wonder why our whole infrastructure is shutting down. But let's get back to the Geneva Convention and the legalities of shooting off weapons of mass destruction. It reminds me a lot about the Nuremberg trials where they act like they send all these Nazis to jail. And then they wind up being medical doctors here in St. Louis and around the world. I mean, see, they've already made movies about it and called it a conspiracy. And that's what I was trying to explain to you about time. Like I can't be everywhere, especially if I'm raising 3 kids, running a business full time, being married to a dude that I shouldn't have never married, but I wasn't going to abort a child. And oh my God, did I piss off anybody that had ever had an abortion. Whoa, I wasn't talking about them. I was talking about me. But see, I'm not allowed to talk about my experience because it's too traumatic to the con people. It's a perfect alias. It's a perfect cover. It's a perfect psyop. And it's something the whole world can get involved in and screw somebody they don't know before the final hour of judgment in this fucked up video game called life. Well, now we got 2 topics, unfortunately. And this is how my mind works. And of course, they've said, hey, if we could just tweak her mind or put her in somebody else's body or change her voice or dress her different, that we could market her, and we could also debunk the democide, which is the mass destruction of the planet by government, and place it on her, call her a witch, put her through an inquisition, dick around with an impeachment that's bogus, steal all the money, all the fun, all the mails. I mean, the mail, the US mail, including all the gifts and parcels that these jerks bought for themselves and billed to me. I mean, usually my charge card payment is about $200. Well, guess what? This month it's $410, and there's over $200 of interest, but I didn't make a payment. Would any of you be smiling if it was your worst enemy? You swear you wouldn't. But they've allowed it to happen to me. So, when everybody says, oh, boo-hoo, I can't work, I don't have a job. Well, they shut me down illegally from my place of business in February of 2015. I have been waiting 5 fucking years to not only get justification here in Ferguson, who is a militarized war zone, take it, like it, lump it, and share it if you want. It's called martial law. It happened when they executed Mike Brown, and now we've got nothing but Black Lives Matter and hate your neighbor and just like satanic witch casting courtesy of the Vatican and BTC in Ferguson, along with every other nasty, dirty hub. I guess it's the Baptists are pissed at them, right? They say Missouri is the majority of Southern Baptists, but I never grew up with any. But I live in NoCo. That's North County. That's where you make the black people live. And all I said was, I love everybody, and I helped raise a bunch of black kids because they were friends of my daughters and son. And then they call me prejudice. It's like, what the hell is wrong with you, man? I mean, I was born in 64, and that's 1964. And the only prejudice that I ever knew about was all the white people that lived here saying bad things about black people because they hadn't been exposed to them. They had never lived with any. And then in 1974 came the forced deseg. And then my school, Gibson, closed down. And even that screwy STEM thing, that was at Danforth Elementary after I left Gibson in 75. I mean, it's all real. I never knew that I really lived in such a big jail that I lived in. I mean, first I lived in a dark, creepy house with some parentals that couldn't take care of me. They were too young, too abused, too hurt by this system that hurt their parents. And then, I mean, you know, my Graham just wanted me to stay alive and run my own business. And that bought me some years, it really did. It allowed me to take care of my children and have a butt plug husband that was too lazy to work while I did, 7 days a week. It's a weird thing how thankless giving love to the wrong person is. And of course, you know, at the time, you think the person is Mr. Right or Mrs. Right, but you're still traumatized from the last relationship all the way back to the first kiss. And that's something. And I guess that's why people don't trust each other. And call them sodomists and lesbians and whores. You know, I always try to speak it in a concise, easy manner that tags with you guys all the different psyops and all the bad words and all the wars you never wanted to be in. Because I'm telling you, honest to God, I've been in wars my whole life, and all I seek is peace and love and understanding and trust. And then to find out that anybody that's online on YouTube is e-bagging and dorks and nerds and people in society that can't cope out in the real world, but it's the very internet that stole the real world, and the people in the real world are going crazy. I mean, let me tell you this. Let me tell you something. I know I'm not keeping up with my agenda, whatever that is, but my agenda today was purely to see if I could use my live streaming option, because they shut all my stuff down. And then I went to deleting thousands of files that had been copied and blown up. And I thought, what the hell, man? While I'm here, let's see if I can live stream. And poof, here I am. So I didn't want to have any time down. And because when I got poofed out of existence most recently, Katie Roby was doing this terrible live stream and like hanging out at a joint that wasn't even open because, you know, it's quarantined. And they're playing like they're having lunch there. And I think she's eating bugs and bad food. You know what I mean? She wants to get all her skin cut off because, see, she used to be like 800 pounds. And then she got gastric bypass. And she's got all this jiggle fat. Okay, now, guess what? That's one of them fat suits. You know that ad where they tell you they're going to give you liposuction and hand you that golden baby that looks like a big mealworm? That's what they make them damn fat suits out of, is the ads off of liposuction you. You know what I mean? But anyhow, now we're in Silence of the Lambs. The scapegoat, you know? And because her skin is so disgusting and has all these pocks and sores and lesions and lumps and bumps and bullshit, she wants to cut my damn skin off and make her new suit. And I'm not supposed to be creeped out or say anything. Now, see, I'm a nice person. I really am. But being a cop's daughter that's lived in a jail all my life and been harassed my whole life. And of course, my dad said, girl, you remember how to clean your gun? I'm like, Dad, I was 13 the last time you made me clean a gun. But weird enough, if I were under an attack, I mean a real one, which I've been, I guarantee you that something would pop into me that would make me look like Sergeant Sunshine or somebody and know how to do it. That is what your frontal lobe is all about. It's a computer that holds your timeline of your existence. The animal brain back here, where I put my hair, that's your animal instinct. That is your fight or flight. That is what your mammalian brain is. See, we're not monkeys. Not even positive blood types are monkeys. I mean, what kind of shit does somebody got to dream up to come up with that? That's not Darwinian or Freudian, right? But mammalian, mammals. Humans are mammals because they have tits. Now, women's breasts give milk. I nursed all three of them pain in the ass kids of mine and loved them and never hurt them and told them the truth, and they all get possessed by demons. You know, It doesn't matter. I still did what I'm supposed to do. And I will act like some kind of weird mom and try to protect people that are senile and juvenile because that's the right thing to do. And I've always been in this war. So if you tell me to roll over and not fight when I'm she calls it 5'4", but I'm 5'3.5". I guess you got to have room, for the skin you can't use or something. But I'm 5'3.5". I've showed you my real body too many fucking times. It's not perfect. My boobs aren't huge. I'm not wearing a bra. And I weigh 130 pounds and I'm 56 years old. And I can't get my teeth fixed because they stole my money. It's a great story, but it's all real on my part. And that's why the liars say you can't make this stuff up. And that's why she took this part of my body right here, see it? To put on her puss face. And she used to tape her arms to show how skinny that she could be. Do you remember? And then she showed you her body the other day. And I guarantee you, nobody that fat has that kind of a build that is just like rolls and rolls of a blob. I mean, if people really forgot what real people look like, or real landscapes, real homes, real animals, real children, it's one of those things that bothered me about 20 years ago when I noticed most of the shows had already left real backgrounds. Books is here too. See the one? Thank you, Jay. It is. A true life is a good life. Honestly. So these dogs are fortunate to be alive, as Mr. Touchdown knows, because they were all infected with a plague of weaponized bugs this summer. And 20 Royal next door is the house, the hub, where all these dirty illegal activities have happened in North County along with other places. But between all the money spent on natural flea and tick home spray, such as this, which is still poison. Just because it says natural, don't be fooled, please. Every good poison known to mankind has always come from a natural source until they started synthesizing everything in the Industrial Revolution. I mean, right? There wasn't no Walmart to go get your arsenic and lace at. But the point is, they are surviving. And like I've said to my friends and clients that I have had personal meetings with throughout this last week, I've had to tell them the hard truth that we're going to talk again about today, because there's no reason for me to go watch an asshole when I can talk. This is about getting evidence down that will remain after we're gone. I did it because I was assured that the least amount of lives would be lost this way with my cooperation and not be enforced. And I did choose all of this on my own because I had done it the rest of my life. What the hell does it matter if I'm having to have an argument in the hair shop or an argument with a politician or a scientist. I mean, it's stupid. First off, they don't want to talk to me because I didn't go to college. I guess they put a trigger word in you or stick a chip up your ass or get you to sign a contract with the devil when they rush you. I don't know. But I have more organic knowledge than what a person can pay for, is all they said. I mean, I don't look at college as a bad thing. It was a thing that I didn't want to do because I'm a poor black child that's born of a pure white Caucasian fucking motherfucking pedigree. Oh my God. That goes all the way back to the origins of the Highlanders. See, I'm getting red because it is. It's kind of embarrassing, isn't it? But you know, the Gloss clan of Scotland, they tried to use part of their fucking coat of arms the other day on Twitter, like one of them news broadcasts. There, wait a second. Hang on. Let me take off my glasses. All right, where's my glass cock stuff? Oh, wait, maybe it's over here. See, I'm always organizing. I was a secretary in my high school life, and I was supposed to keep it all separated and organized. And these thin books can really get messed up. Why do I need to prove anything when I've already done this? Hundreds of times, yes. Well, because I've spent a whole life and nobody fucking believe in me and telling me to shut up. Hey, but real quick, let me show you something. Because it's the only thing I could grab in my that. And by the way, that right there, that's one of them motherfucking poison flea bites right here. Maybe I'll treat it later. Okay, let's look at this. This stupid book is so old. Look at how young little Lindsay Lohan was. See, remember her? This is an ABCH back cover. It has my name on it. I put it there because it's mine. I mean, this is my actual writing, is what I'm trying to say. ABCH list back cover. What's on the back cover? That ad slick I've shown you guys a million times. Looking for a great hair colorist. This was the biggest psyop I ever fell for before 2000. Great hair colorists are hard to find. Coloring your hair can be stressful. You want the best advice you can get. Look to the members of the American Board of Certified Hair Colorists. They're a dedicated group of fucking bullshitters. Okay. So I always knew hairdressers were trifling, but do you see whose name is under the Missouri state? The Show Me state. It would be right here under my index finger. See Missouri? Missouri says Susie Pratt. Can you see her? That's me. Suz of Ben and Jerry's. Well, let me tell you why this is a psyop. The registered name was the American Board of Certified Master Hair Colorist. And then they got in an argument when I proved to them about enzymes, and they threatened me to take away my lifetime degree. Now, the reason I bring this up is because I've always been involved in politics, and I hated it. I couldn't stand the trifling politics of a bunch of LGBT makeup-faced illusionists that all had the AIDS. I mean, if I need to get any more specific than that, go talk to another hairdresser and find out how weird they are. That's why I ran my own hair shop that was cool as hell. And I didn't care if somebody was GAY, but they didn't want to hang with me. They would rather hang out at a very well-to-do salon where the rich people take their little dogs and take them in dresses and pimp them out. First car pulling up to 12 Royal. Here we go. Hang on a second. Dark blue. Rolling on. They can hear me. You know how they got these kids for toys where you can spy on people? Well, they got them. And so they were going to try to rush into that house and do something because that's where they've been doing it from. They're already down the street, by the way. Okay. So, you see what I'm saying here? The point is, did they get a charter or rewrite their laws to change their official name from master colorist to colorist? I don't care. I don't know. I'm just showing you how I've been getting legally harassed out of the only republic in these here united fucked up states, which is California. I went to California once. It was just for a few hours. I mean, you know, you fly there, you go to their stupid meeting, and you fly home, right? Of course, the gal I was supposed to room with was a cokehead. I would just want to smoke a joint, but I can't smoke. And I'm with this speed freak getting driven around California. It was a nightmare. It really was. And of course, these board certified weirdos used to send out paper newsletters. Oh, but now it's all online, you know, where they can just mess it up. I mean, I've never seen such stupidity on a social platform, and they call it media. But it's not, it's propaganda. The internet was a World War II spy tool. It still is, but it's World War III. And the nukes have been detonated. They make them smaller, cheaper, and more refined. We'll just put it real easy, right? Okay, so if my voice is so bad, why does it put people into a state of peace or animals? I mean, they know they're safe with their mom. And I didn't ask to be their mom. I'm really not their mom. The first one with their pooter hanging out. That felon daughter of mine went to Houston to go be an escort and left her little baby here. And then when she came back from being escorted by whomever, she likes them big and black, by the way. She's white. I don't have any prejudice of that. I'm just saying, my baby liked dark meat. And myself, I only dated white men. That doesn't mean I'm prejudiced. Oh my God. That means I dated people that I knew. And isn't that the way we all used to do it before the internet? I was young. I could have it all twisted, right? But anyhow, Miss Wonderful was accusing him of whoever had this dog that she wouldn't give him back. And when my prostitute daughter came back and wanted to take this dog to her apartment after we had already adopted her neglected child for a couple of years, you know, we told that little brat, we told her, fuck you. You're not raising no daggum big dog in an apartment. Go get a little one. You know, like a teacup dog. Put it in your purse. Stick it in your crotch. I don't know what you do with these dressed up animals. Animals should not wear people clothes. Now, I had a little 3-pound dog once, for real, that was so fragile because it only weighed 3 pounds that we put like baby shoes, like not hard shoes, like slippers, on the dog so the dog could go stand outside and take a dump. But no dress, no coat, no hat, nothing. Just some little shoes, you see. And it's just like these poor dogs. Now they got this alopecia areata, which technically is they have bald spots, you know, where the hair doesn't grow. Well, these bubonic fleas and bugs, ew, and ticks actually traumatized them so much and hurt their health that now they have patches. You know, now they're patchy, right? In the meantime, if we're all radioactive, which we are, guess why the insurance companies the other day said, hey, man, we don't cover pre-existing conditions anymore because y'all motherfuckers are going to be dead soon. Is basically what they said, which is completely an intimidation tactic because I'm telling you what, if you do what I say, you won't die. How you like that one? Now, I spent my whole life telling people how to stay alive with a license. A professional license is being a hairdresser that has to know about anatomy, physiology, skin conditions, plagues, bugs, baldness, herpes, ringworm, and every skin condition because your skin's your first filter organ. See, this meat suit that they put us in is our big filter that's supposed to take care of all of the bugs that it is ordained to address. The reason why in the last 23 days there has been a spike in people meeting their maker from their liver blowing up or their kidneys failing is because of the weapon that was dropped. Sorry, nobody can pay you for it. Nobody can do anything. And Ms. Wonderful told Life Perplexed that it could not be called off. Well, right, because she said that after they did it. Now, I've been hit by these energy weapons since I came online. At least this many times that you can count on a hand. St. Louis, Missouri, here again, has been under martial law secretly since the Mike Brown event in August of 2014. So, if somebody says to you, that happened a couple years ago, I'm not focusing on that. Well, that's a cover, and that's what they continually do with all these aliases that they bitch out. Back to me cracking my head. Bottom line, they say you got up after you died and have been resurrected. And it's like, shit, man. That's happened to me so many times. I never knew I died in this life. I mean, I had a few supernatural experiences. Like, this was a great one. Let me tell you about this one. I haven't put it into evidence yet in my 700 videos. So, we moved down here to Ferguson. We live in the Matrix Portal, 25 South Florissant. You know the opening. My daughter, not the felon middle child, the oldest, that was wanting to kill herself and had been anorexic, thought she was fat when she was a size 9 because I was a 7. You know what? That's bullshit. You don't compare yourself to somebody else and decide what you are and aren't. Absolute and utter stupidity and narcissism and mental illness. But she was way more beautiful than I ever was. Her teeth were perfect. She had a slamming body and nice perky boobs, so she shouldn't have been worried about her old ass mother, right? I birthed her at 23 years old. I was 36. I should be looking like $1 million at 36. And I still should be the same size I am now. But I still had the same mouth and jaw that them Nazis messed with when they held me down and knocked me out as a kid at the dentist office and did the weird shit, which had nothing to do with my crotch. But that's why they, like, say, for example, Katie Roby talks about her TMJ boo-boo kitties and she needs new teeth. Man, my jaw's been cracking since I was old enough to remember. And that's why when they hit me with the weapon, I sprayed myself with magnesium on my jaw. But we're not really immersed into that story. I'm just freeform and documenting in my experience in the Akashic Records, as well as enjoying time with anyone that is here now, or might be in the future, or even in the past, because time is irrelevant. And YouTube, the hackers installed some magic wheel so they can make it look like they're talking to you a different day, a different time, a different hour, a different place, even a different country, all because of the Computer Misuse Act, which now we have your international terrorists that are actually planted inside the U.S. and hold citizenship. Do. And in the meantime, you're telling me the cops, the government, or the computer geniuses that have destroyed our world can't really tell the 6 degrees of separation from fictional names to the legal person that registered said fictitious names. Isn't that stupid? All right. I just like to know who rolls and who passes, right? It's my house. I'm sitting at my dadgum computer looking out these windows into this here ghetto. If I want to watch people go by, when did that become something that makes you guilty of anything that they can make up? Beyond stupid. Okay. I was going to tell you a story. That's right. So, my daughter, my oldest, the one my ex-husband wanted me to abort, the one that says she never wanted to be born, and her original form is a siren. They say on this glasscock flag that they made for women It's a proper mermaid holding a comb and a mirror. And you know, a siren has always got their legs open and isn't proper and is the Starbucks logo. It's so weird. It's the corporation that owns her, see? Coffee owns everything, I guess. Coffee and opiates. Is that right? I drink tea. Now you're at the Boston Tea Party, and I didn't do it either. But after her threatening that we would find her in a shower sliced up and bled out, and she's of legal age, 18. I called her best friend, a nice little girl on the south side by the name of Candace Moore. Oh, yeah, she knows me. Her sister Sunday worked with me and treated Chelsea like her own child and felt terribly guilty. Terribly. Because she hated her sisters. Why? Because they got to grow up with their daddy and she didn't. Fuck, man, grow up. Quit blaming your parents. But anyhow, I called little Candace. And I said, your best friend is freaking the fuck out. I can't do anything for her. I'm raising 2 minors. I'm the parent that was granted legal guardianship. And she's making the kids nervous. Can you let her come live with you? Chelsea had never worked. She was the most needy princess. And I had given her everything already. And she was an adult. So she moved in with Candace. She got her first real job. She said she recovered and she wanted to come back. She came back and she met Zach Goldcamp. And they started playing Lord of the Rings. I've told the story in other shows. But Chelsea wanted to come back. And I said she could come back for the weekend because the kids were at their dad's. You know, Dobie the turnip. And that we could have an adult conversation as a mother and daughter. So, I had an old car at the time. And it was always parked on the parking lot, which was public at 25 South Florissant. I knew it had been tampered with, but who do you blame when you don't see it happen? And I got in the car. So you drive about a mile down Florissant Road, and you're going to come to Highway 70. Highway 70 going east will take you into St. Louis City. It's about a 13 to 15 minute drive to take you down past the arch, loop around where it turns into 5564, stay in Missouri, and exit off down by the River Des Peres, which is in South St. Louis. Kind of over by the Lemp Brewery. You know, where it all caved in the other night. Very weird. But when I got on the 70, it was the weirdest thing because the radio was playing, you know, that song, In the Arms of the Angel, Fly Away, blah, blah, blah. Not particularly one of my favorite songs, but it was on. And I was coming up on to 70. So I'm driving now on the highway. And there were very few people on the road in my eye view. There were a handful of cars ahead of me. And there was a couple people over to the side. And of course, if you know how to drive properly, you got your rear view mirror, you got your side view, you're checking your stuff as you are moving over out of the slow lane, getting into the driving, right? So that's where I'm at. And it couldn't have been more than a couple minutes of being there. The same song was still on. And all of a sudden, there were all these red lights that were flashing in front of me. Now, what that told me was that there was an accident up ahead. Because, like I said, it's like a line of red flashing lights. So, I had been in the fast lane because, like I said, I went from the slow lane into the middle, watching through the drivers and the side mirrors, getting into the fast lane, going to the city. And I'm seeing the lights, and it's like, well, fuck, man, I better get back over into the middle lane because I'm going to need to get off of the highway if it's closed down, and I got to pick up Chelsea from the city. And it's really hard to cut through from North County, North City, through the most ghetto areas where, like, there's always gunshots and shit, to weasel my way across town to get this kid, right? Who's an adult. Well, anyhow, all of a sudden, it's like this explosion that I'm seeing happen in my rearview mirror is propelling me like the car hit me. Like remember, there's cars behind me that I acknowledge in the beginning of the story, just a few. The red lights are letting me know I'm getting over. There's an explosion behind me. And all of a sudden, I'm on the other side of the red lights. I've had it explained to me by the Dukes of Hazzard, John Schneider, explaining how they do their stunt tricks. And I guess that's one way of putting it theatrically. But the way I looked at it was that I was delivered from a near-death experience. And now that I'm in front of those red lights and I'm seeing the explosions continue behind me, well, thank God, where I could exit off the highway would have been Lucas and Hunt, and that's where I went to Luther North. So I knew that if I didn't get off at Lucas and Hunt, that I wasn't going to have a prayer in Jennings or in the city. And I couldn't imagine getting hit and my car not being messed up, right? So even though it's the ghetto, and even though I know it's a bad area, I'm going to get off. I know there's a gas station there right off the ramp. I used to go to it all the time out of high school to get gas and cigarettes, you know. But I got out of the car there and I looked at it. I'm talking about the back because I figured it'd be smashed in. And it was still there, but it had taken a hit. My first car was a 62 Cadillac, and that was 2,000 pounds of U.S. steel. I hit a lot of things in that Cadillac, like, say, a light pole, and it knocked it over, and I drove away. I also had to pay for the light pole, but that's what I guess people would call it deja vu. That's what made me realize this has happened to me before, but it can't be the same year, it's not the same time, and it's not the same situation. So, since the car looked good enough to drive, I drove down to South St. Louis. I didn't have a cell phone because I didn't get a cell phone until 2016 with the whole stupid CCN thing. I was just using it to broadcast. You guys wouldn't believe when I tell you, I've only had one iPhone. A lot of this warfare got done by people trading their old phones with each other. And what I'm here to tell you is I will never have an iPhone or a cell phone for the rest of my life because they are pieces of shit and death weapons. They're the easiest thing to hack. And Apple wants to have a stroke over it, right? And Microsoft and whoever else, It's pretty gross. But when I got down there, you know what I did, right? Since I didn't have a phone, is I walked up to her door, like with my legs, and I knocked on this door, and she looked at me, and she said, "I'm just finishing up a movie. Do you mind waiting a minute?" I said, "No, man. I'll go back out to the car and smoke a cigarette," right? So when I got out, well, when she left the house and she got into my car, it wasn't me that got out. I got out of her face. She closed the door. I went to the car. But she said that she had been watching a movie like Field of Dreams. And then, of course, now the other day in one of these cursings on my life and my stories, they were mocking the whole thing about Field of Dreams, which I never watched. I was raising kids. I mean, I know it's in a ball field, but whatever. And then the whole thing about if you build it, they will come. Well, believe it or not, when we opened the Crestwood store that became Hair Emporium from 1996 to 2000, on my flyer, I put, if you build it, they will come. I'm witty like that. I always made my own flyers and promoted my successful business. But anyhow, it's all about whether you build it and he will come or they will come. I mean, how can you really build a show around that and have 800 people give you a thumbs up? And then you watch them start to drop as Monograph, aka Dan South, that I knew on the ground in St. Louis from Indianapolis, the phone room guy. I mean, everybody loves him. See, they all took my data and built these stories out of it, and actually can even use my attributes in the pictures they stole from me off of everything I ever uploaded on my Apple. And you see an entire court case, the first of its kind. The biggest psyop rip-off, attempted murder of a historical figure. I didn't know I was historical in a bloodline, but I knew my business accomplishments were historic because I have the legal proof. Now, back to that story. Chelsea got in the car, and that was also the night that I removed that thing I've showed you guys before, that maybe it was like, say, some kind of a chip or an implant that I had never been aware of. You know, I don't think they told us when they were getting ready to knock us out, hey, we're going to install this biological weapon that could fucking kill you later on or something. But let me draw it for you again, because I may as well put it into evidence here. This was not the size, obviously. Okay? It had a round head. And then, to me, these things that would be sharp and pointed right here, these would be just like suction cups in a worm or a parasite. So the big round thing is kind of like the big plunger that you're never going to be able to get out. And then these would be like the teeth of the hooks. And I guess it's kind of got to have a neck, which I just colored in. The real size, accurate, real size would have been, take my glasses off. Like that, right there. Hang on. I'm not trying to flash you. See right there? So, while I was out sitting in the car, I was putting pressure on this. You know how, like, if you're going to get rid of a blackhead or zit, because it really hurt. And it was a lump. Oh, isn't that weird? Wow. Okay, so Katie really is imitating me, because what she was saying earlier on her stream was that her boob had shifted and that there was something in there. Now, truthfully, Trisha, tits on Instagram, she was talking about something about having to have her implant out because she had a lump. See, this is real time, like spiritual work. Me as a remote viewer and me as the alleged intended victim of their hate crime. Wow. All right, so anyhow, I was working on it out in the dark. And it hurt so flippin' bad. And that time was 15 or 20 minutes. She got in the car and we drove away. We got home. Joe was there. Lauren and Ian were gone. I told Joe, because of course we were talking about the car accident, or whatever you want to call it. How about the UFO landing, moving me across the shit? I don't know. But I told them both, I'm going in the bathroom and I'm taking tools. And so what that meant was a lance and some tweezers. Now, I'm licensed to use every sharp object in the book. And I know how to remove things that shouldn't be there, right? I didn't want to use the lance, man. I don't like them. But it was my backup. And I got in the bathroom. And you know how it is before you do something you don't want to do. I mean, I hope you know. But you take that breath. And you clear it all out. And you take another one. Here's a weirdo walking up the hill all gimpy and shit. I wonder if that's Katie's real dad. He's looking back at this house and that and the house next door. Purple t-shirt, jeans, bald head. Facial hair on his chin. He has no one with him, but his arms are moving and he's talking and pointing. Current time, 3:42 p.m. Central Standard. He's now walking back down the hill. He has a gimp. His left leg doesn't work very well. It'd be my left leg. Hang on. Everything all right? These assholes must think I'm fucking retarded. All right, so we got two people outside that don't look like they're really much of a married pair. The white dude, the gimp, doing the pointing. And then you've got the anorexic old black woman. Now, I know y'all heard me talking as I'm walking to the door. I open the door and you hear me yell. And then they act like they can't hear me and they're going to come to me. And I said, stay back. I will write it down and bring it to you. What I was going to tell them is that house has a lien on it and there is mold in the basement and you can smell it. This house, the Fannie Mae with the expired letter that they taped in the door to do this Ponzi scheme, takes this piece of fuck house next door from 58 to 158 to 149 to 144, and now it's down to 140. Oh, and they can't crash there because when we see the lights go on, or we hear dogs barking in there and nobody lives there, well, we're going to yell. Maybe Joe's going to say, get out, I'm calling the police. Maybe I got my police whistle going, toot, toot, toot. Because I don't have to put up with, and neither does Joe, or either do these dogs. These illegal criminals living next door, fucking with us. All right. Now, you guys are going to have to hang on because nobody gives a shit what I'm saying anyhow. And I have no way to entertain you because I can't use my iPhone. I have to write a letter. Motherfuckers. Oh, yeah. They're already gone. Yeah, literally. They're already gone. So, they've been firing these EMP weapons off from 20 Royal. You know, they take an old microwave and modify it. Or an old metal detector like ModWiz talks about. Or whatever bells and whistles and spell casting they have. And that's how they get a direct hit on me. Okay, let's get back to the story. I'm in the bathroom. You remember we're talking about this. And I took that last breath. And I knew that I was not going to I wasn't going to stop pushing until I got a fucking result. Somebody just goes about 55 miles down a residential right now. Okay. So, when it came through, the circle of the head appears above my skin. So, it looks like, yeah, I know. So, it looks like a round, dark, you're a good girl. And you get that sucker. They come near you. You get them. Of course, they want to talk about bad pit bulls the other night, too, on that show. Remember? They got in a fight and bit somebody. Books is the pit bull mix that the middle child left here. And now you get the psyop. And the next thing you know, they're talking about the dead cat buried in the yard. And that's Lovey. There's nothing worse than a mafia hit. That it hit your kids or your animals, is there? Especially if it's a mafia full of dorks and fucktards that embarrass the real mafia, which is my family or familiars. True as it is, right? So, anyhow, I got that thing out, the head, and I knew I was going to take a tweezer. I mean, a professional tweezer man tweezer. Not Walgreens. I'm talking about fucking hairdresser special. And log on to it. And not freak out. And gently remove. And as I did it, oh my God, I see below the line. Now, I honest to God did have it in the tweezer, but it was so small. And Joe and Chelsea and myself were standing in the kitchen of our apartment. And they were freaking out a little, and I was freaking out a little, and my arm gets bumped by Chelsea. And I dropped the dadgum tweezer, man. So we all kind of, like get down on the floor, man, and start looking for it. But I don't have it in a baggie to prove it to you, but I tell you what I do have. I have the proof from when I got hit by this atomic weapon 23 days ago. That is the grossest puke that I think anybody ever saw. And I'm a professional puker because my body wouldn't allow me to drink alcohol. And it won't allow me to eat food that is questionable or say like rancid or maybe spell cooked on. God knows these days, right? But the weird thing about that puke is it was so thick and acidic, and it had these sparkle crystals in it. Like if I cough up phlegm, it has a lot of cigarette smoke, you know, you'll see that little very, very, very small, like little discolorations, and that's why they say you shouldn't smoke. Well, fuck, they shouldn't drop atomic weapons on people either. You might start a world war. They say we're one push away. And most people just said, well, fuck it. Let's help us all die. And that's what they're all talking about out there now. And it's like, what kind of criminals commit acts of treason and are scared of getting their ass kicked? I'm not using my fists. I'm using my words. And so then they take away free speech. Well, little do they realize the government and all these people that around the globe that don't want to die, they watch this shit live when I do it. I've been trying to tell people for 3 years now, and they go, oh my God, shut her up. And it's like, why? They already know. And these people are already criminals. So if you tell me that these hurricanes and these tornadoes don't get all these squirrely bitches on the run and somebody can't pick them up before they hit my door and put a cap in my ass, well, you're stupid. It doesn't matter whether I bash their heads in or shoot them. I'd still get charged for defending myself and them trying to call it manslaughter or something. See, that's what they're setting it up for. So if you got a bunch of homeless people doing Harry Carey and Jim Jones Kool-Aid fucking orgies, and then they wind up dead, well, see, I'm getting blamed because I'm the neighbor that reports it or says there's a dead body. I mean, they must have never watched a police program in their lives. And I'm a policeman's daughter. And if you don't think that I take my rights seriously when it comes to being able to make a citizen's arrest in America, well, we better talk to the Highway Patrol because they're always good cops. But isn't it funny? In this last year, they got some new chief of operations who's a black gay guy. And I have a hard time believing that a black gay cop is going to be put in charge of running the Highway State Patrol. Not because he's black, not because he's gay, but because it's stupid. And any good investigator would know that. That'd be like putting a woman. Here, let me just put myself right there. That would be like putting a woman in charge of the Highway State Patrol. Because a true patrolsman isn't the person behind the desk with the manicure. It is a seasoned professional that has dealt with terroristic problems and been on a good standing with regular police for over a decade. Knock it off. Drives me crazy. Not really insane, but just like, leave your fucking tits alone. I mean, she's got all the nipples. She's got the, ooh, and she's getting ready to start bleeding. And then the whole thing just, it's terrible. I mean, this poor dog. And of course, Lauren got her from a puppy mill. So, you know, all the traffic dogs in the cages. She probably sucked somebody's dick and got a dog. Just like every one of these bitches on YouTube. I've never seen so many kids abused, and so many dogs, and so many people be harassed and gang stalked. And they think if I just leave this platform, that I'll feel better if I walk away. I haven't walked away from anybody or anything or any situation in my life without a confrontation. It's my life. But since they're all imitating it, that's why they need to kill me and turn me into another statistic. Well, if this divided state winds up being found guilty of systematic racial hatred when it comes to white people attacking me, or black people, or even green people speeding down the street 55 miles an hour while this town is shut down, its government infrastructure and everything else. Well, they're all going to have a great time in hell without me. You can't lock an honest person up in a jail their whole life and try to kill them. And anybody else here again would say, well, yeah, we agree with that. Well, they denied me. Okay, so we told that story. Now, I'm going to do what happened 23 days ago in such a way that I can tell this story with full details and accuracy in under 10 minutes, and it's 3:58. So here we go. Even though I knew I was being attacked, I thought surely I could run a bath and listen to C.W. Chanter give me shit live. I went upstairs, I turned the water on. So they knew I was running the water. Everybody did. And part of the trick is to get you hot and then blow you up. And they use acid bombs. Okay. Oh, and they break blood vessels and capillaries. Okay. So I turned off his show and I got in the bathtub. Even though the water was not unbearably hot, it was how I like it. It was warm, bordering on hot. I got in the tub. And all of a sudden, it was like that water was boiling. But see, when I say it was like, that means it was happening to me, not the tub. So my body temperature was accelerating very fast. And I knew it. And I knew the water wasn't that hot. And I knew I had been hit by these weapons a few times, under 5. So I started to feel sick, like I was going to puke. And time slowed down to almost nothing. I knew I was in trouble then. So I got out of the tub. I wrapped a towel around me, came downstairs, told Joe I had been hit, proceeded to open the back door, and I went out on the back porch. Now, like I said to someone the other day, whether it's an invisible weapon or a monster or some hand either shoving you to the ground or kicking your legs out from underneath you, which would translate into passing out. Well, I chose to sit my ass down because if I'm going to pass out or die, it's going to be better if I'm on the ground instead of standing up, right? So I sit down, and what had happened from the time I put the towel on to getting downstairs was from the heart to the mouth. Well, and the nose. Let's go here. Let's go right here. We got to add the eyes too. Fuck. All right, so let's just go here. It's all being attacked at once, so we're going to take it from lower to above. There was something wrapping around me that was acidic and thick. That's what made me know I was going to puke. My heartbeat was going up. Now, let's come up here. And this 5th chakra is your communication box. And it felt like the trachea, the opening, was closing. It also felt like that here, and it felt like that here. And that's the way you breathe. And of course, finally, the nose. It would be like, I don't know how people do that. You know how kids used to do it when they plug their nose and breathe in and then show you how their nose holes stayed closed? It was like that. It was like if somebody was going to do this and stop me from breathing. That's what forced me to get out of the tub so quickly after I got in it, and now I'm downstairs. It's cool enough to have the windows open. I have advised myself and anyone else to not live in an airtight house during this time. It could blow up. Open the windows, turn on the fans. That's why it's safe to be outside, and you shouldn't have to have a mask, pretty much. So I got outside, dropped to the ground, wrapped in a towel, knowing the satellite is watching, and I said that thing that the indigenous used to say, which, if it's a good day to die, then it's today. Because nobody's going to stop it, and I'll be meeting God solo. And I had a lot of gas, so I was farting. And of course, they're trying to build a gas bomb. So whether you're belching, whether you're farting, or whether you're puking, you're getting the germs out, okay? So I started puking. And it was so thick and so crystallized and so sparkly, like somebody put glitter in it. And I didn't have enough energy to even get up. So I'd puke, and then I'd grab my towel, and I'd pivot, and I'd puke, and then I'd pivot and puke. Now, I didn't make it to 360 around, but I made it past 180. Some people would call it 90 because you are a quarter away from making it to 12 o'clock where you start puking, right? But it's 4 o'clock, by the way, because I got in the tub at 4. And so I probably puked 4 or 5 piles of this weird shit. And I was farting, which was good. And so the next thing that you should do, or that I did, was go sit on the toilet hoping to take a shit. Because you've got to get that nuclear waste or whatever it is out. It sure wasn't my food. And I did have a bowel movement, thank God. And I got back in the tub with a cleanly wiped butt. Okay? I knew I needed to have water. Now I got to get back out of the dadgum tub. I got my bottle of water. Maybe I even took it up with me and then took the shit. Let's go that route. It's really hard to tell an accurate story perfect when you're trying to do it under 10 minutes. That's human. So anyhow, I'm drinking this water, and here's the point. It's one of my green, they look like wine bottles, and we do the elixir water, like you've seen me talk about. And I could barely get the water down because it felt very thick, like a shake. The viscosity was different. And I realized that's me that's still thick from this attack. And it took drinking all of the bottle of water, except for about this much in the bottom, before the water was the proper viscosity again, which would be exactly like tea. Just like flavored water, okay? So what I did, and this sounds lazy, is I picked up that godforsaken iPhone and I called Joe. Joe was down here. And I said, hey, I don't even have enough energy to get out of the tub and get the magnesium oil. Can you please come up here and get it for me out of the room next door? And he said, sure. And he came up and he got it and he handed it to me. Now, what was happening to me in the tub was like a bad movie called Scanners, where they put the guy in the deprivation tank and he turned into a werewolf, and remember his whole body changed? Well, I'm looking at my naked body in the tub and I can see that my fingernails were being altered. It looked like somebody was trying to suck the moisture out of the tips of my fingers, and the nails looked very ridgy. And my nails, like I said, they're not pretty. They're working hands, and they're pretty healthy for someone my age. How can I get them up there for you? Okay. So your thumbnails are supposed to have this half crescent moon. Both of mine do. And my nail beds are healthy too. And that's why I don't wear fake nails, because they hide disease. And most people die of funguses they get from pedicures or artificial nails. And it's too ugly to show people, so you just hide it. Okay. Well, that was happening. But as far as looking down at my body, I could see, remember your liver is across from your belly button right here. I could see my liver going like this, like raising and lowering, along with my stomach having all the water in it, like bloating. So I could hear my jaw cracking, and I could hear my ears cracking. And so I took the magnesium oil and I saturated it. You don't really want to get it in your mouth because it's really salty, but who's complaining when they're dying, right? So I did that, did this, because you know they work on your nervous system through your spinal column, okay? And I sprayed that, I sprayed this, and I sprayed. It's not like my tits hang down to my stomach. We've already talked about it. But I lifted up under my boobs and I sprayed the magnesium where the heart would be. You know, so you're spraying this area. Yeah, your heart, your right hand over your heart. Right. So your heart and the magnesium. And so I'm saturated up here. And then I kick back a little in the tub, put my fucking feet up like this, use my abs to hold myself up to do kind of like a half-ass pike. You know, that's where you go like this if you're a cheerleader and jump and touch your toes. Go fight, win. You know, that kind of shit. I sprayed my feet, my toes, in between my toes, my feet, the tops, the whole foot sprayed, working up the legs. And I sat in the tub like this until 7 o'clock p.m. Okay, so 4:13. Okay, I'm 3 minutes over. But look at everything I put in. All right, now let's talk about something else you need to realize. These fleas, ticks, bugs, and contagion that isn't just here in Ferguson, it's everywhere. Remember those seeds they planted? So these bites wind up having something in them. I don't know if it's larva. I don't know if it's a radioactive seed. I don't even know if it's a nanobot or a miniature drone. I can't prove it anyhow, even if I said I knew what it was. Everybody'd be making jokes instead of taking heed. But the point is, these weapons, besides dehydrating you, coming after your filter organs internally, first one's your liver. Yes, liver. First filter organ's the liver. Then the kidneys. And that's why I told you guys, you got to do a fucking colon cleanse before you can do any other cleanses. Because the parasites and worms are in your intestines. Ugh. Your muscle tissue. You just can't even believe. I mean, the worms are eating up the brain like Pink Floyd said. And in the meantime, like I told you, John Wayne was an A blood type. He liked meat. He couldn't digest it. He had a 9-foot tapeworm when he died, and they blamed it on his smoking. And I can't be somebody that talks about health because I smoke. Well, I'm hanging with John Wayne. You know what I mean? And everybody can get fucked. Because I done told you how to get rid of this stuff. So, They are blowing up blood vessels and capillaries. That would be a stroke or an aneurysm. So now check those off as reasons for death. So when I got out of the tub at 7, I had all these weird red dots where those little bites had been. But there was more of them. And on that last video, I showed you about how they were more on my right leg because my right leg had the big scar. And we've talked about these attacks will hit your scars first. And that's why I talked about the Bach flower essence and how to take care of your scars. They're like Achilles' heels. So there were all these little, let's call them underground single drops of blood. Those took about 5 days to go away. And in the meantime, here's what I have to say next. So if you consider it's been 23 days since the strike that's going to kill the majority of people that die. You have C.W. Channer, Katie Roby, Miss Wonderful, Life Perplexed, and unfortunately G Mangoes and 7 beers ago. Robert Phoenix, David Wilcock, who is now Henry McCruiser, and people like Alex Jones that are all masked in these other aliases and the government, and it goes all the way down to what they call the bottom of YouTube. So those are the homegrown terrorists that set these weapons off, and they're like avatars in a video game, and they already sold out their life. Oh, and Joe Rogan, because everybody kept saying R.I.P. Joe Rogan, and I kept saying I don't get it. He's still alive. I thought he was a comedian and a mixed martial arts guy. So see, everybody's identities come out as this terrible thing happens. But I do believe that when things shake out, it will be me using my original data that was stolen that puts together a regime for any survivors. And it's going to take a year of their lives. The network, the behind the scenes people that would be with the World Health Organization and, names that sound so evil, right? They didn't really want all this to happen. They didn't set it off. It was regular people that did. And in the meantime, they know how sick everybody is right now. Every vital, every hidden thing that you've never had checked out, they already have it. And so then, if you want to live and you listen to what my lowly ass recommends, well, they look at your results after that year, because I'm demanding a year. And it's only me that can set it up. Nobody else can. So I don't give a shit, really, because it's been so plagiarized and so raped and so disrespected, because it was too embarrassing to deal with my data, whether it's my historical family or Elvis Presley's, or directly calling out the CDC and the FDA liars, because they are. And it says so in their own books. They didn't want to deprive you of your enjoyment of these dangerous chemicals that you like to imbibe now. All right, fine. So, anyhow, after that year, and you would be reevaluated. And if you had survived passing the worms and parasites and were in the right frame of mind, that you could take an active place in community. But if you think that this is Men in Black and these fucking bugs, which are actual parasites, are going to keep taking over the humans that think they're in power, well, you better remember, I'm from the future and this is in the past and it's already happened. And you guys are finally catching up to the present. And that's time travel, which I think is bogus. But there's no other name to describe it. So I have to accept that name and say, what else better name is there? Or who is the person that wants to rename not only St. Louis, but the streets on it? I don't know why everybody thought their vote counted, because it never did. And that's because America is stolen property from the Americas. You can't just come in and steal fucking America. You better steal Canada and Mexico, South America too. It's all one continent. What? Some punk in frills comes over and only steals half of it and then tells you Paul Revere's the name of the guy that delivered the mail on a horse. And George got his ass kicked for cutting down a tree. And you want to know why education isn't worth a wooden nickel, and the schools and colleges are in violation of the land patent agreement, which said, since we take the Glasscock's title of nobility and kill them, then you all get free education. No, you don't. Especially when you got people like my daughter, so good at fraud and doing sexual favors for women and men and animals. And I'm her mother and I have the right to say it. She's the one that killed me by her dishonor and her disrespect and her plagiarizing her own biological mother online for a buck, a chuck, and a couple fucks. No wonder people don't want to have kids. And the bigger question is, how could I be who I am and have displayed so much love and empathy when my own mother couldn't do it for me? And somehow I did it for my kids. Loved them with everything. For them to turn around and treat me worse than my own mother did. See, that's why you have to forgive. Because they're all tied up in one body. And there's a bunch of fragmented pieces of lost souls in it. And that's why Katie says lost troll, or lost souls, trolls, and assholes. And you think, oh my God, they chopped up people's body parts and ate them. How else could they talk this kind of filth? But it's me that's your problem. Isn't that funny? I really believed YouTube was an educational platform, and I will continue to believe that. Believe it or not. I think all the dirty, rotten avatars came from these recycled, misused, old Atari games they had in their closet. and the old phones and the burner phones. And I guess even the Blackberries. I don't know. You know, it's like Randy Moggins used to say the only thing that was safe was the Linux system. Well, that must have been where he did all his dirty work from. But he's not safe. He doesn't come up for a gasp of air on Off Planet, Totally Tucker, or Dave the Canuck. It actually kills the real person. And Randy Moggins was originally a religious zealot, and I didn't know that. And he was paid in some court case to give testimony long before the file on the dark web where everybody got my stuff. He wasn't never really an on the ground real life friend. He was somebody that I trusted and bonded with because he asked me to do his show. And he treated me kindly and acted like my friend. And everybody that asked me for my friendship on Facebook, I figured was okay because he was okay. And he's not okay. What do? Do you give up and like get angry or hurt yourself because hundreds of people lied to you? No. You get smarter and you learn how to do the work of Scotland Yard or of the police or of a dignitary, even though you're not. Well, there's a lot of actors out there. I'm a real life person without going to police school. But like I said, I can still make a citizen's arrest. I can still speak freely. And I never was afraid of bullies. Otherwise, I would have never spoke up that my mom burnt me with boiling water. There is no quitting. Quitting is equivalent to saying you killed yourself. Rolling over is no different than being sodomized by someone with AIDS. And as far as my dead animals go, you really can't break my spirit there. Because when my first dog, named Norman, that I ever loved as a little girl, died, well, I knew he was only going to live 13 years. I wasn't retarded. I mean, they want to call me dyslexic. What the fuck is wrong with these people? And they don't know their optic nerve projects to them a picture of what we call life upside down and backwards while they're doing the inversion. See how stupid that is? But anyhow, when Norman died, I cried. And I got a new dog. His name was Muffin, the little one. And he got thrown out of a car in the winter in the movie theater that I saw Stripes and two movies about World War II. Maybe it was Midway, Stripes and Midway, at the movie theater by the bowling alley where I grew up, and it's called Top of Towers, Tag the Twin Towers, and also the idea that this incredible round building that's in the ghetto still stands even though it's dangerous because some retard in California doesn't pay a $65 permit to come knock it down? Well, see, now you get the bigger politics behind all this. And so in the end, back to the hit that happened to me. The way it really happened would be that, and that wasn't an Illuminati sign. Jeez, you got to be so careful. I mean, everything is inverted and misrepresented. I don't know where to put my hands. But anyhow, what really happened was, if we go a couple weeks back from 23 days ago, so let's say we're about a month and a half back, on the St. Louis News, they reported a old factory that was abandoned in East St. Louis that had caught fire and was highly flammable. There was so much toxic smoke coming out of it. And that was the report. Now, it was an old factory that had housed Kodak, you know, the picture people, chemicals that had been used to make flashes for the old cameras, remember? They used to snap them onto the old cameras, and you got 3. I've actually got a real pack upstairs. 3 in a pack, 3 or 4 across, 9 or 12 flashes, basically. But it housed a manganese, kind of a chemical that made the flash pop bangs that you saw in Beirut. So the Beirut bombing was actually broadcast on the very same day that I was hit with the weapon. Now, in the meantime, I've talked about this before. So, what you are going to find that I brought first years ago is something only I could have known, because I have the books. And these are books on enzymes. And of course, I read these books dozens of times, frontwards and backwards, and wrote educational material for hair from that research, as well as my own artistic documentation of faster, safer, and gentler. But what happened historically was that they synthesized the first enzyme in 1969. The name of that enzyme is protease or protease. It is this word. It looks like you're a protease. Okay. Now, when they synthesized the first enzyme in 1969, they actually cursed God. I mean, they verbally say that, because it was a wonder and an amazement how this simple molecule could be a God gene. Okay, fine. Now, I guess they're going to get donuts. Donut shops used to give cop free donut and coffee, or a cup of coffee at McDonald's and a hash brown. People used to take care of the cops, because the cops aren't the problem. militarizing the cops and forcing them to take an order that doesn't first defend the citizens is an act of war. And it's also an act of war to put people around the globe in a war without letting you guys know that there's a war. America has been only uninvolved in any war for under 200 days in over 200 years. And boy, people got pissed. Well, because they all got lied to, but everybody got mad at me. I didn't lie to fucking nobody. I came to tell the truth and didn't take a penny for the information. I didn't hurt anybody. I didn't lie. And now you want to talk about back to the explosion in Benghazi and America. And y'all want to say, well, we didn't have nothing to do with that. Well, there's your social distancing fools. They done social tracked you on your phones. I kept trying to tell everybody, and people just got madder. They think if they can shut me up and suicide 85% of the planet, well, there's your Georgia Guidestones. Don't blame the Glasscocks. The Glasscocks are who were murdered off. One spinster on the 1830 Georgia census. And you got a county called Glasscock County, Georgia, with no Glasscocks. It's fucking stupid. All right, let's see what's going on. Man, you know what's the saddest about CW stupid Darwin is? Not that it's a surprise to me, but for anybody that keeps track of that case, we have an alleged Ben Zavodnik using an alias to represent a lawyer. Talk about a legal loophole sandwich. But, you know, it was a few years back where he admitted his alcoholism and his pill addiction, and it had gotten so bad he had to go to a pain patch instead of a pill because they started tracking the drugs through the internet. And you know what happened there. But as he tells his lies and spins his stories, even this morning, they shut him down the first time about 23 minutes in because he legally can't stream. See, all them fat asses are squatting on my verified channels, Sophia's Emporium and Sue's Pratt, the Holistic Stylist. They have cloned and mirrored everything, stolen all my shit, and they say that my name now on my computer is Sophia's. No, it's not. They took away the name Emporium because my legitimate legal business had always been Hair Emporium. I've also made videos under Hair Emporium Unplugged, which would be about anything involving the hair industry after I was illegally evicted from Church Street, where the Hair Emporium was. And when I started with CCN, we thought, I don't mean them and me, I mean Joe and I, meant that maybe we should use, well, that I should use something that continues on the Emporium, because I've always been an Emporium. And if you look around and you see all the things people call shit that are actually historic, beautiful mementos of history in my field of hairdressing and my family. Well, that's my emporium. And how dare anybody say I can't have my personal effects? So, I'm Sophia's on my stolen Apple computer. And Biggie Boho, aka Doug. Are you fucking kidding? Or Vinny G. Well, see, Vinny G, when I told him that he had broke the deal and the devil's mad at him because I'm innocent and you guys owe me 10 grand. He says, you haven't uploaded anything since 2016. All my live streams have been live, but now they call them uploaded. That's what you call a mirrored account. And I keep reporting these people every day and giving accurate information. But the people at YouTube are not literate when it comes to speaking the English because they're all from India or China or wherever Vicodin TV is from. Probably Pakistan. What do I know? But how dare the computers say, protect your security? What kind of stupid is that? These guys were hating me and stealing my shit. 2 years before I ever started with CCN. And that's why they are called handlers. Just like my buddy Dan Sode, he thought he could handle me. He knew me. He called me his best friend. I knew he was an edgy kind of guy, but just because I'm innocent and never committed a crime doesn't mean that I wouldn't befriend someone and give them a chance. I mean, that'd be terribly judgmental. Now, one more thing. One of the ways they did this to me, and they might have done it to you guys, so I'm trying to share, is when you look in your mailbox, your Gmail, your email, however you get your correspondence. And I know. And there's those things that say somebody might have done a background security check on you. Well, come to find out, that's a scam. That's another cloned kind of a illusion. It cost you $38. And you go in there and type in false allegations against a person. I have not and never will have a true police record. I have not been convicted of any crime, nor have I ever been a felon or done anything besides admit to smoking marijuana. For doing anything unsavory. And now, while we have wars over the places that it's legal or illegal, you gotta sign a fucking I'm kooky slip to get high? Oh no. We better have every junkie and every alcoholic realize that they ain't never getting no insurance again because they don't cover their pre-existing stupid condition no more. Why? Well, you have reached what they call herd immunity through not only my witness as the person it happened to, but all the supporting evidence that everybody else at the very highest places knows. They just don't know how to tell everybody they've been hit by an atomic weapon. I'm going to help. Because while there is no air in the air today, I mean mile per hour air, what they said about our hurricane crisis is once you get over 35 miles an hour, there will be no infrastructure to help you. That means don't call the ambulance if the refrigerator falls on your fat ass. Don't call the cops if you're having a lover's dispute with your fucking crackhead, significant, stupid other, or nothing. Don't call the firehouse if your fucking house blows up. That's what that means. Now, here's what I said to Joe today. We have that book upstairs from McDonnell Douglas, from the actual results of when they did the atomic experiments. I got the book. Now, when you're at ground zero, I'm ground zero, okay? Those people that had their protective glasses and the kids under the desk going like this, them, the general's kids or whatever, okay, they didn't have to worry about getting hit because when the mushroom cloud goes up, it pushes out from ground zero, 360, right? And it is not until that cloud gets way, way up in the sky that you actually hear the boom. It goes out, and then it comes back in, and that's when it blows everything over. Go look at any of the videos. So, in the meantime, while everybody's making their little lives so airtight and hygienic with their masks, it's the airtight environments that are exploding, including people. Hang on. White truck next door. Now, that house has a lien on it, so it can't be sold. It also can't pass inspections. It also had plumbers out here that took the old pipe out of the ground and put the new one in. And never forget how they worked on the pipes at Little Caesars. And they said, you might have caught something really important there. So I'm sandwiched to the left and right of me by two exploding potential buildings in the future. And I can't get a break while we all die. Hey, we're not going to die, I done told you. Now, I'm going to open up the door and find out who these motherfuckers are and report right back. The name of it is Czar Property Solutions. Never seen them before. Czar Property. It's hard to do in glasses. Look, I didn't even type it in. Don't that suck? I didn't curse her in. Hang on. Our property solutions, hang on. I gotta write the phone number down. Like I said, I was always just trying to show you guys how to protect yourselves, for real. general property manager specializing in home preservation. Okay. So, these terrorists just pulled up that show up, what, about an hour and a half after the weirdos that were out there, that I disclosed to them that the house has a lien on it. It's a Fannie Mae alleged repo, or, Matt and Megan as a carrion that worked for the city of Ferguson that are involved in the DOJ, DOD stuff, had this house, and it's been vacant for about 4.5 years. The other night when the fucking squatters, and terrorists were doing their shit, like I said, Joe went over there, and Howard, in the basement window, we see you, we're calling the cops. And I blew my very loud police whistle from England with the wood ball. And about a minute and a half later, somebody ran out of the basement door. They breached the basement door, not the one where you go in the kitchen off the deck. So this has been a house of ill repute. And the way they were going to try to get the price up, see, this whole time they've been saying that, of course, I'm a witch and that the land I live on should be exorcised and the house should be burnt or should be dismantled and that we should die. But in the meantime, it's that house that supposedly has some kind of curse on it, because the woman that still lives in Ferguson that sold it and moved somewhere else wishes she wouldn't, but her daughter's death freaked her out, so she moved out those years ago, but she wishes she could be close to her now. I don't know what happened to her. I didn't live in this godforsaken town. I'm telling you, my life was in Florissant and Hazelwood, running a business and raising kids before I came here to Spookyville. Okay. They better be fixing the damn basement door so the terrorists can't plot from there. In the meantime, there is 3 or 4 more homes on this street that are also covens, and now I have to bring up COVID. Nobody really ever said what COVID was. I told you about Corona and how it's a code name for Omar Corona, the web bot. I told you from the start the story, how they lied about AIDS from the beginning. We've been over it all. So they have weaponized our lowered immune systems and also weaponized the internet to catalyze, which means speed up, the breaking down of our immune systems. And here's what I'm saying, is in the 50s, when they did the first atomic testing that they filmed, took it Hollywood, get it? Quit blaming Hollywood. It is not the people's fault that make these educational videos that get left behind. They're doing the best they can. It was years ago. but it's really now. You get it? Those people that really suffered it are really dead now. But we're really still here now and it's still happening. Okay. Anyhow, if you take the people of 2020, which is supposedly what calendar year it is right now, and you have the technology without probing them or sticking a needle in them or wiring them up to any diagnostic. They can tell blood pressure, heart rate, intent, more things than. It's so incredible. And for it in the end to be misused by this devil nobody believes in, instead of be the glory given to our Creator, no matter whether you call him God or Bob or Scrooge. You know, it just can't be that way. Not because I say so, because it's basic common sense that any idiot in the end would have to admit, but once they're all dead, dead men don't tell no tales, and we go round and round. So, let me get back to this. Yeah, Jay, it could be the ones that have already had lobotomies. It really could, because they can also do that without shoving a hook up your nose anymore. And then we see it with the stupid long cotton swabs that they break the membrane with, that most people have broken, like when they make that real loud sniffing in their noses, where and you can hear it all break in there. That's very, 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 very probable, Jay, and that's true. Like I told you, they've done so much healing work on me through my consent to participate in something I never knew the depths of. I just thought that my life's work was to document my experience and not get caught up and follow others and leave my story for my grandchildren that I don't get to see. But that's what's really weird about after I got hit. I really did feel like I had experienced death that day, but I got up and I was breathing and alive. And the next day I felt so much better. And you know what they said to me? I don't know who they are. It's like my own self talking to me. It said, move it or lose it. And, I felt myself wanting to stretch, wanting to lunge, wanting to do my basic stretches, which every day you should be able. And my shoulder's been dislocated from one of those weapons. Never forget. When you look at this shoulder, there's a hole. It's noticeable right here. I can stick my finger in it. Can't really do it over here. I mean, it would be right here. But this shoulder was dislocated when they hit me back in 2018, which would have been when they took over my computer and the rest of the world's. But here again, to frame me for destruction of the world when they used my new Apple to do it, that really is the ultimate sin, isn't it? So I think the Apple's going to get restored, and I think it comes through the Beatles, because They have a recording filming label under Apple, but you know Bill Gates doesn't run it. You know what? I wasn't that into the Beatles. I'm not saying I didn't like them. I'm just saying that I liked Elvis better. You know, it shouldn't have to be a continent war, should it? When you find out there's Elvises on every daggum continent, and that whoever is communicating with me that I thought was dead, that I knew in real life, the guy I told you his name is Shane. He called me in 2006 in my head, ringing in my ear. I had already been told he was dead, and he told me he loved me and everything was going to be okay. I don't think he was ever dead. I think he was involved in this secret space force, along with this Scott. And that's my first kiss from Grace Chapel, and he was always angry and didn't ever really talk enough to me to get to know me, where Shane and I were friends and lovers, and he never hurt me, where Scott did. And Scott comes through Jay Ferguson, and it just gets stupider and stupider. But see, in this secret space program, or whatever it is, they can jump in anybody's avatar that the individual legal person put into the database. They're not doing it illegally. It's part of the spy network that fights all the bad, soulless people that I've called illegal aliens, or just jerks. It's very, very, very odd. But yeah, they say that you don't actually leave your physical body, you enter into a new avatar, and they mind wipe you and you keep going. I'm in the same avatar that I've had since I was a baby, and I keep moving and going, and I do feel better. Quit crying. See, when your dogs get that upset that they cry, you know that they see the spirit world much better than we do. And I'm so at peace, even though they're killing me. That's why death isn't real, I guess. I think that Jay and modem number 9 should really look at their last 23 days and make a written testimony of what's happened to you. You don't need to tell it here on a platform if you're not comfortable, but what you should do. Let me just a second. Okay. So let's go back to 2012 when my daughter and her new family, the Gold Camps, GD'd us to hell. And we never saw them since. So you can see. Now, I didn't grab them all. Here's 6. And this is how you used to copyright your own memoirs, is you would put them in an envelope, get an official seal, and never open it. I mailed them out from the Hair Emporium, 18 Church. And that's me, Susanna Pratt. 12 Royal, home address. Postmark 2013. Well, when they attacked us in 2012, watch. Let's see who this is. Let's play. What's up, Joe? Hi. They probably got our bowling ball, and they've been attacking the house next door. That's my dad's bowling ball. You think you can get it? I don't care either way. Nothing. Oh, okay. Well, there's very weird activity over here, and I'm just keeping safe. Okay, bye. Joe is 15 minutes away in Brentwood, and here's what he said. There's a kid carrying a bowling ball down the street. And I said, of course, what you heard me say about we're getting attacked next door. And I said, I wonder if that's my dad's bowling ball. Yes, it is. Modem number 9. Tag it, confirmation of spirit. It's like the unseen is becoming seen, correct? So it's a way of remote viewing, let's say. Maybe it's Project Looking Glass. I am always happily amazed that obvious revelations like here are immediate. And that's where the true magic of this is. Although, don't forget these fake, fucking stupid stories about elections, which aren't never going to be, and that are faker than the ones in 2016 or 2012 or 2008. It's the same loop. It's over and it's over and it's over. So here's what I was saying, okay? I mail all these out. They're all the same thing. Do you see what I mean? It's the same exact information. And it's the information I put in there so many years ago. This one is postmarked on the 13th of December. This one's on the 29th of October. So what I'm doing is I'm saying that it took me more than one mailing, but the only one in my hands from December 13th is this one. So we're going to put it down. Now from there, we have 4 more. And I'm going to open one of them because I've still got more. This would be the first time I've opened one of these. So it's 7 years ago is what we're doing. These were all mailed to not only the Pratts, but to the Gold Camps and Orlando's. Zach thought he was Italian, but Gold Camp is Jewish, and Orlando is the Italian side. They run the caterers on the south side. They're the mafia ties to this. And that leads back to Life Perplexed. And Zach is a psyop for Isaac Cappy, trying to avoid the law, let's say, or to sacrifice someone who wasn't guilty. And in the meantime, we all know that the film footage was as faked as the guy that got shot 7 times in the back by a fucking cop with his kids in the back seat, and nobody had no blood anywhere. It's one of those kind of deals. Okay. So when I open this, I can already tell you what you're going to see. I have already shown you. I never get rid of my originals. They're in my life charting book I've showed. It has all my artistic originals. Then I went and I took it to someone who's now deceased. His name was Bob, and he ran the UPS store at Deerbergs and Florissant. And I used to buy cards where I could get 1,000 copies for $40 because I have run educational material all my life. Now, a couple, I took the money to photocopy and color. And so here's Chelsea and I, and this is Chelsea as a baby and showing her time with her mother as a child. And there's my dad right there. And this sign about love was at the intersection of Lucas and Hunt and Jennings Station Road. Yep, those are all Chelsea growing up. Okay. Now, when they attacked, and I couldn't get what would be my legal rights as a grandparent because they were married and chose to kill us, they had to make up a story. And they had to lie. And they took a big pile of money on their wedding day from the patriarch of the Orlando family. Zach's dad passed when he was 9, which is why he's kind of a little fucked up and pissed off. 9 is the age you realize you're part of the great big world. So a lot of people in the family got pissed at me for speaking out against getting killed. You know how the daggum Vatican does things. I mean, I'm not saying all of them, but that is the Orlando Goldcamp clan there. And his one punk-ass brother is who runs Cugino's, which is the cop hangout bar in Florissant, directly across from the Florissant police station. And the trauma of these kids' faces. Not here. She was only 8 months old when it happened. This is Chloe. I call her Bobo. This is Leela. And that's why they always talk about Leela on these streams. This is my sugar butt right here. And she was taken away by the time they had her 2nd birthday with the 1 candle. See, like I told you, you're not born at 0. You should have either 1 candle on your cake at your 2nd birthday, signifying you have burned out 1 year. All right, there goes the jackasses coming out of the driveway next door. What do we say? Czar Property Solutions. And I got the phone number so I can call later. Punk asses. So you can see that this is actually legally my published work, only because I mailed it to myself. Now, everything that I put in the computer, that was stolen. So they've used all my pictures without my consent because they used them for treasonous purposes. Otherwise, it would be legal that they could take my pictures and jack off to them or make target practice out of them, whatever they want. Inhibitors, J. This is important, maybe or not. MAOI inhibitors are a class of drugs that you have to be very careful what other drugs that you put in your mouth or on your body. Emla cream is a not really like a Novocaine, but when I was getting the magnesium IVs, which saved my life in 2001, I don't like needles. I don't like pain. And if I can use a cream that numbs me, so you can put that needle in so I don't freak out, and I don't open my eyes for a half hour while I take in a bag of fluids. That's how I did that. Integral anomaly. Here's what I have to say that. This whole weird thing with wing makers, it was the sovereign integral. When I first got online, Wing Makers was like a BFD. Supposedly the best spiritual website anywhere. And this weird woman named Darlene inherited it from her husband that passed. And the husband that passed was the only one that ever got to sit face to face, not on a computer like in real life, like face to face, and speak to the Mahu, which would have been James. James evaporated into thin air and went to live on a mountaintop. And in the meantime, Darlene's husband croaks, and Darlene inherits the website. Now, that was the first time in a live chat where somebody went off on me and said I couldn't be right because this couldn't happen to 2060. I tried to explain to everybody in so many words that Chuck Norris is a Mahu. And then, of course, that kind of had its moment in the sun. But these are great entities that would also be immortal in the regard that any of us with souls are immortal. And like I explained, usually we take on new avatars and get mind wiped, and nobody knows us from Adam, unless it's the secret group, Your next thing see this actual physical detox that I would know how to save everybody's lives. It's going to take a year of hardcore work, but I did it throughout my whole life. But where it really focuses, unfortunately, is when I quit eating things with eyes, excluding potatoes, because that's the big joke. And no, I don't eat fish. When I quit eating meat and quit drinking alcohol, and I did that as a blood type regime to help eliminate poisons and stress from my body. And that process took about 5 years from the time I quit imbibing those two poisons through the time it took to do every major organ cleanse, as well as these really weird spray, very strong oral cleanses that allegedly do the impossible, which would be detox you from heavy metal and from EMF fallout. The thing that sucks for you guys is that there is no reason in the world for you to do any cleanses unless you do a colon cleanse first. And it takes about 3 months and you pass a bunch of weird shit. I mean, if you just take the 3 months on the colon cleanse, the month on the liver cleanse, and the month on the yeast cleanse, you could see where you're up to a half a year. I'm not saying that anybody doesn't have hope. If you're already constipated or have IBS, the cleanse may kill you. But life is going to kill you anyhow. And then you got to wonder, when you depart your body, how much of that do you want to take with you? I don't know what to mention into either. So, we're going to see how it goes now that the governments of these nations know that I've made my official statement, and I haven't been online since this has all happened, because behind the scenes it was more important that I document what's going on and report it. And in the meantime, like I explained to you, I can no longer use this $800 iPhone that is only 3 years old. Now let me show you what happens. See how it's given all the languages? Now, this is when they reset a phone, is the way I remember getting it when it was brand new, out of the box. And for the last 5 or 6 months, I couldn't get any updates because I refused to pay for an iCloud when they stole everything from my iCloud and my Dropbox and everything that single platform put online so I could do my full-blown media. I never asked for all of that, and I never was taught how to use it. which is why I refuse to have an iCloud now, and the computer can suck my ass. So here's how it works. Let me get it so you can see there, that's good. All right, so we're gonna push, oh, look, I get them all now. I don't know if you guys have ever seen this stuff. Now, this is a brand new iPhone update, 13.1. Now, can you not tell that my phone has been what they call mirrored and cloned? The way you can tell is because the light gray is way too light gray. And you can see the dark black that would be behind the veil of the light gray. So, let's say I'm really wanting to try to use this stupid, vile thing. We need our payphones back on real landlines, because you know that your landline doesn't have the rights of a landline. It's digital, and that's why they've been recording everything you say. Okay, so we push that. Now, I put my passcode in. This is what it says. First off, I have a low battery. Isn't that funny how it was completely charged, but somebody took the charge? Okay, software update complete. Your phone has been updated. Well, then I should have it, but I don't. Now, when I hit continue, here's what I got. This is the same rolling ball from hell that Mel gave my computer when she ended her stream. Now, I'm supposed to give my Apple ID and my password. Every time that happens, somebody steals my shit again. I'm not doing it, and that's why I said this phone can go to hell. I'm not selling it to no crackhead. I'm going to keep it right here in my hot little hands for the government whenever they're ready to get done with this stupid Republican nonsense they call a primary, or whatever the fuck they call it. Nobody wants these two old quacks to be their president. Are you nuts? Okay. So anyhow, they want all my shit. I said, blow me sideways. And then they say, well, hey, you want to unlock with your password? And that's when I say, I'll never use this motherfucking stupid excuse for technology ever again. It's your papa. So, anyhow. Even now, the heat's going up in my body. So, here's how you keep yourself alive. If you're being hit with a weapon, whether it's next door or on the computer or over at the Southwest Bell or in the parking lot with the weirdos at the Baptist church. Get yourself some of these ice packs. If you're using your phone, put it in the refrigerator. Put the ice packs on your shoulders. And just breathe. And your body temperature will return. At that point, if you have a third pack, you leave both on your shoulders. This is part of your survival lesson. And you take one, and you get it on your spinal column. Because when these fuckers took me on the wild ride on September 1st, what they want is our cerebral spinal fluid that's located between our fourth and fifth vertebrae. What are they making out of it? Is that what adrenochrome really is? I don't know. Now, let's say that you want to save your life. Put the fucking ice pack on your liver. See, you can just get up like, okay, look at, see how easy that was? You stick that fucking ice pack like this, and you go walk around with it. The hotter you get, the more they will be able to break blood vessels in your body and to swell up your organs. And that's why I am the holistic stylist. It is unlike any other hairdresser or any other woman or man with this much information. It's a lifelong study and a career that allowed me the ability to become a specialist of my own choosing. So, even though I didn't go to college, I do have a PhD. I know it's a joke, but so is college. So, I think that puts us all in the same boat. And we can all agree this is about the level of excellence in your self-education. Always give credit to your teachers and peers and those that came before you, but realize it's your work. I guess that's all I have to say. And it's real. But, see, that goes back to the Green Knight and playing the game. Most people think games are just for recreation. But the whole kingdom was going to starve even though they weighed like 500 pounds, and were drunks. Because the king wasn't going to take care of them no more because he was bored. So the Green Knight comes along and says, I'll give you a thrill. One of you bitches come up and cut my head off. And if I talk after you cut my head off, then I get to cut your head off. And from there, it goes into a parable. And a question is asked, and it's a 4-part answer. Recently, someone from Monograph's chat asked me, since they didn't have time to watch a movie, could I please reveal the code to them? And I said, well, if you don't watch the movie and figure out the code, which is a parable, then even if I told you my answer, it wouldn't count as yours because they don't allow no cheating. And that's not calling her a cheat. But they're not my rules. And I never even cheated in school, honestly, because I didn't give a shit if I got a C in a class that I didn't particularly like. It's kind of like when you go to college, I guess, and you're this honor scholarship, and you find out your junior year that they don't even look at your grades, they just give you a diploma, and you think, oh my God, I could have been drinking, smoking, running naked, and having all sorts of weird sexual experiences, and getting D's, and I would have still got the same diploma. I think that's why they got pissed off. Like I said, I'm not really into nerds and preppies, but I'm not a hippie either. And it's really ignorant to call people things that they can't substantiate. Power of refinement, yes. And as you know, refinement would also be burning out your dross, which is your false ego. And it's alchemy. It's what turns lead into gold. It's what turns the thread that they make the golden fleece out of. But when you get all these bad witches that want to say alchemy is an art they practice for financial gain, well, that's really not what alchemy is. It's about what you said. It's the power of refinement. It is about the reduction of those unnecessary toxic elements that are as above, so below in your microcosm and your macrocosm, which is why we can change all of this in a heartbeat. An educated diet, correct. Blood type is like your blood. It's like oil in a car. Each car is supposed to have different viscosities and mixtures of this oil. An A blood is very thick and doesn't have enough acid in its gut to digest meat. An O has a lot of acid and is meant to digest meat. It's even like that with fruits and vegetables. It's about the viscosity of the fiber that the food is originated from. But I don't want people calling me names that they're going to hate me for. They act like I'm rich, but they stole all my money. They say your rewards are in heaven and that money is the root of all evil, but that's not true. It's the way the money is used. If I had the money, I would help everybody, and I would bring in new systems that would either be followed or those people would be excommunicated. Nothing I would ask would be out of the realm of what any person following the honor code would do. But when they steal my identity and steal my bank account and all you guys's, then I do die a penniless woman's existence. I don't want to be queen of Voight or YouTube, kind of like Elvis. Didn't want everybody mocking him for being the king of the whole wide world. So he let everybody think he was the king of rock and roll. Elvis Presley's an alias for a king amongst a group of international bloodlines that have hierarchies. And that's why he came for me. Because my bloodline will prove his story and mine. This government killed him in 1977 because he was working undercover above their level. And that's what I've been doing too. I've been working for free to restore a kingdom that was stolen so long ago that nobody remembers it. And that's why they say you better watch out. Your lover could be your dad or your son. If it's in different incarnations, it can't be incestual, can it? They're all such ignorant tricks. And then in the end, like I told my friend the other day, the edge of reality can't come down to one Highlander because there would be nobody else to communicate with or to reproduce with or to love or to have any reason to live. So, you can tag anything you want, Jimmy. You would either way. So, every time I speak something major happens. And it's almost 6 o'clock, so it is. And if we're all fractals of one another, then our true spiritual families are reuniting, and no one can stand in the way of what this family brings. So, and now they want to say that our earth isn't real and neither is space. See, no matter how grand it gets, they will reduce it down to their most deviant, fragmented remembrances of all the evils that they did against God and man. Yeah. Okay, 5:44. What a great time to stop. I'm gonna go hang out with Joe and eat some dinner and watch some news and hang out with Mary Jane, and maybe I can get back on the internet. And if I'm not on the internet right now, where does my video go? So remember, I'm going to have to be letting you guys know.
It's a trade secret.
If somebody else uploads my video to my own page.
Upload, download.
Oh, they took my computer out there. All right, so we'll find out, and I'll watch these fools, and you guys hang out and watch some fools. Then when we meet again, maybe we'll have gotten rid of a few people off that ship of fools, because I'm telling you what, they ain't riding to the new world with me. All right, so The light in me honors the light in you. Peace and blessings to you and your family. Well, you guys are my family. And so's that guy I'm not married into. What is family? Except for people you want to hang out with. So, I came from a very small family. One more thing.
It's a yeah.
That's my dad's signature, etched in a magnifying glass that was his. So, much love.